to Cora in Missouri. You're on with Matt and Andrew. How are you?
Hi. Hello. Can you hear me?
We can.
Hi, Cora.
Hi. Okay. So
Can you hear us?
I just wanted to discuss like the existence of demons and demonic possession, and I have a little bit of personal experience, but I feel like as a whole in the last century there's just a plethora of footage and encounters and people different testimonies of like the existence of demons and hauntings in particular, and that.
So while I will agree with you that there is a glut of claims and shows on the inappropriately named History Channel about ghosts and things like that, the claims aren't evidence. And so I think, you can talk about whatever you want, but if you've got personal experience with this, I'd kind of like to know what that experience is and what convinced you that there was something demonic about it.
So the thing that convinced me, so the thing is, when I was 18, I joined a carnival, and it was a really very small carnival, and there were pagans there, and they were all pagans. So this one man said that, like, basically there was a couple of guys. There was this one who was like could like see the future or whatever, and there was this other guy who claimed he was a male demon who was like, I am a demon in human form, and that was whatever. But
I would agree.
Like, what?
We're in complete agreement. That was whatever. Literally somebody telling me that they're a demon.
They did a lot of witchcraft and stuff like that. So what happened was basically I found out that he was an incubus, and unfortunately I found that out after I was raped, and they had put something in my weed, and then and then when I had like passed out or whatever, he had raped me. So I found that out. Like,
yeah, I would recommend that.
Did you call the police?
Recommend that.
No.
Okay.
I didn't find out until after I was separated from them, and I don't even know his name, and it's just,
You didn't find out that you were raped until after you were separated from them?
Yeah, because I left like 2 days later. I was just...
But you didn't...
I don't know.
All right. I'm confused about some things. Wow, this call's going off in a weird direction. I'm really sorry that...
That's an awful experience
to you, but I don't know what the hell that has to do with incubus or demon, because
it was like
the fact that somebody claims something.
They did so about a year after that, I talked to this Native American who could like see like he was like a psychic or something.
And how do you know that?
Well, I don't know. He just told me weird stuff about the future.
It sounds like a lot of people are telling you things, and then you're kind of just relating them to us as though maybe they're true, and without a real basis to accept that as truth.
So one of the things is I'm leaving on Wednesday to go to Dragon Con, and I'll be doing a portion of my magic and skepticism show. I've been doing magic, stage magic, close-up magic, et cetera, my mentalism type stuff since I was a kid. I can easily, and I'm not even remotely among the best on the planet, I know tons of magicians who can emulate the things and often do it better than the people who are claiming psychic abilities do. So when somebody tells you that they can see the future, how do you determine that they have a psychic ability?
I guess you can't, really.
Sure. But let's assume that somebody told you things about the future and they consistently got it right. Now, the next question is, how did they do that? And how do you distinguish between somebody who made a general prediction, somebody who made a prediction that you later interpreted to be right, somebody who got lucky, somebody who made a prediction that was, likely to come true, versus somebody who had actual psychic powers? And if you found somebody who truly knew and understood the future, how do you know that the source of their understanding is demonic? There's a whole list of questions here, and I'm with Andrew that it seems quite like people tell you things. I'm an incubus. I'm a demon of this variety. I can see the future. And without any ability or any attempt to even figure out whether or not the claim is true, you just kind of accept it and run with it.
Yeah.
The question is it more likely that there's some incubus who can tell you things about the future, or that there's a person who tells you that and you believed it?
I'm not sure. I guess the latter.
Agree.
I would say if there's I don't know how, well, the thing is, if we have no way to prove it, and I don't know how common they are, if 1,000 people tell me that they can see the future, which happens, I don't know, every day in newspapers, and we test them and they're not particularly reliable, finding the one person who could potentially actually do it, you still have to recognize that, you're at a fraction of a percent of likelihood there. And the problem is the entire history of the world, we've never confirmed any sort of supernatural interaction or existence or behavior. The James Randi Educational Foundation for years had $1 million prize to anybody who could demonstrate any sort of supernatural ability or anything else, and nobody ever passed even the preliminary examination. So when it comes to the testing of these things, which is where the rubber meets the road, we're stuck. And while I know that, I don't mean to gloss this over and turn it into an intellectual exercise, because we're talking with someone who was raped. And if you're looking around at the shows on TV that are using like electronic voice phenomenon stuff to claim that, there's a ghost here, that doesn't demonstrate there's a ghost. Generally, it demonstrates that there are people who believe there are ghosts. And on some occasions, it demonstrates that there are people who are willing to pretend and lie in order to convince others. Because reality TV is almost entirely fake and crap. And that would include, I would argue, the various ghost hunter things which have been debunked over and over again. That doesn't mean there aren't ghosts. It doesn't mean there aren't demons. It just means that we don't have any ability to confirm that. And so if you're in this position where you seem to just keep accepting things, well, then just take my word for it. You don't have a good reason to believe that there are demons.
Well, yeah. There are like certain phenomena, like I don't know, like say like summoning a demon, like from hell, or
I would be
like
impressed.
Yes, I would like to see that.
Oh, I know a lot of people.
Well, okay, so those are two different things. So if somebody could summon a demon from hell or anywhere, how would they demonstrate that they've done that?
I guess like the possession and like
how do you tell whether somebody's actually possessed or whether somebody is faking it or has a mental health condition? Because for years, I'm getting ready to do a couple videos on religion and the mental health, and one of them is going to address the fact that the church basically wrote off what we know now to be schizophrenia and other mental conditions as if it was demonic possession. And that's what people believed until we had a better understanding of the way the mind works. So you talked about two different things, summoning a demon, possession, etc. And I'm not saying that those things aren't true. I'm just asking, how could we possibly ever test for that? And if we can't test for it, wouldn't it be a mistake to believe that it's true before we could?
Yeah. Well, I think the thing that fuels a lot of the witchcraft and religion, I think that what fuels it is it's fear-based.
I agree.
Yes.
People fear demons. People fear hell. People fear Satan. I'm sorry. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. It all seems to be fear-based for me, and that for me, as far as religion goes and demons and all of that, it is really very much fear-based, as on a because my family is religious, and it's just I don't know. I feel like that.
It's frustrating. You're in a world. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, you feel like you believe in demons because you're afraid of what?
Just like, I guess, afraid of demons, like afraid of them like hurting you or haunting you, or you know,
are you afraid of the chupacabra?
You see in like other people that they would get like, I don't know, scratches or bruises or something like that, or just, you know, being like either physically hurt or just like haunted.
So you're seeing physical signs that people attribute to demons. Is it more likely that it was attributed to demons or people?
A lot of times you don't know. You can't really.
Well, you do know.
What's more likely?
You can't really make the distinction.
You do know because we have 0 examples of confirmed demons, and we have countless examples of humans faking it or causing harm. And so it's you don't want to fall into like a black swan fallacy and say, oh, there are no demons because, you know, we haven't ever found one. But when we're talking about risk assessment, like how much time have you spent fearful of alien abduction?
Like none, really.
Yeah. And yet alien abduction is, on some grounds, at least more plausible than a supernatural claim because, you know, there's countless planets. It's unlikely that we've been visited. You know, how likely is it that there's aliens that are technologically advanced, et cetera? But when we talk about an alien abduction, we're not necessarily appealing to anything supernatural. Everything about that is natural. It's just, it would be the same as, people get abducted by other people.
Well, the other thing that fuels it on like a witchcraft standpoint is like, you know, do you know like energy? Like earlier we were talking about like meditation, but like there's like the chakras and there's like different fields of energy. So there would be like
so energy in the way you're describing it is a pseudoscientific garbage language that's making claims that nobody can demonstrate. Chakras there's no demonstration that that's any sort of real thing. The type of energy you're talking about, this is all the fuzzy language that people use to convince you of something. Because if they said, first of all, you have a spiritual aura. And if you were the type of person who didn't necessarily believe in the supernatural, you might just dismiss spiritual aura. But if they say, I can see your energy, well, we kind of have some fuzzy idea of what energy is. And so just that change in language makes something seem more plausible, even though it was never demonstrated to be more plausible.
Yeah.
And so this is the same reason people believe in lucky rabbit's foots and things like this. If you put your lucky rabbit's foot in your pocket and you go bowling and you bowl better that day than another day, or your lucky socks or whatever else, there's a confirmation bias in you get bits of evidence and you build a narrative in your head that is consistent with what you already accept. If the narrative is too far out, if I say, you know, last night I was abducted by aliens and taken outside of the universe, outside of space and time, where I was prodded by an incubus, and we start adding more and more to that, it's the sort of thing that most people would be like, oh, well, that's just a bridge too far. But if they say, oh, well, you've got energies, and there's these points in your body where we can manipulate things and adjust the flow of energy through your body, well, that almost feels plausible as long as you know nothing about how the human body works and the energy, and as long as they're not specific about describing what it is. This is how pseudoscience draws people in to where people are going to wear a crystal around their neck and, you know, go to a reflexologist or whatever in order to align things and do things. And it's because we're all ignorant about a great many things. The world has too much stuff for us to ever know and understand, and we're surrounded by people who appear to understand things better than we do.
So I take it you're not a believer in the crystal magic as far as?
No, or any magic or anything supernatural or anything pseudoscientific.
Okay.
I did once hiking in Sedona, where they have these energy vortices, come across a couple doing yoga naked to take advantage of the energy vortex.
That's called sex.
Yeah, it was.
Okay,
That's what I was
sex.
getting at.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wish I was there. I mean, out in the energy vortex.
They were energetic. I mean, they were. It was. You know.
I think probably the one takeaway, Corey, is that we're not saying that these things aren't necessarily true. It's that there's been no demonstration of it, and there doesn't seem to be any ability to test it. And the language that they use to describe these things is all dependent on what may intuitively feel to people as if it were real, without any demonstration that it is.
Deliberately vague.
Yeah. It's like, have you ever watched, like, John Edwards, who's the biggest douche in the universe? The guy who claims to be able to speak to the dead? One of many. Have you ever seen any of those?
Yeah, I'm familiar with mediums.
Yeah. So if you watch mediums, and you don't just have to watch their show, like you don't have to watch Long Island Medium because that's fake reality TV anyway, whether she has any abilities or not. You can take a look at people who've put mediums to the test and people who have a greater understanding of this. So Darren Brown is probably the world's greatest living mentalist, or most popular in the UK and everything. Love the guy. He's actually gone out and talked to people who claimed to have the ability to speak with the dead, not speak to the dead. Anybody can talk to the dead. Hi, Grandma. She's dead. I'm talking to her. It's when you get the answers back that it's
A thing.
becomes a different category. And what you witness with these people, and also my friend Ian Rowland, who literally wrote the book on cold reading, is that they're doing a combination of things called cold reading and hot reading, or at least that's what it appears like. And it would be as if I grabbed Andrew's pen and wrote something down in front of you, just a word, and then claimed that wasn't me writing, that was a spirit writing. How the hell do you tell the difference? And if you're engaged in this sort of cold reading thing, there are cues. We are really good about picking up on cues from people, most of us anyway. And if you listen to the so-called mediums, what they'll do is, they get a big enough audience. There's 50, 100 people there. And they say, over in this area, I'm getting, is it a John or a Jack? Because that's sometimes a nickname. Does that connect with anybody over here? And then, of course, somebody's going to have a John or a Jack, and then they set up. And then you ask other questions. You get cues back from them. In some cases, these people have researchers. If you bought a ticket to their event with your credit card, they have your name. We live in a world where I can look you up on Facebook. As a matter of fact, I would bet that if I didn't have 20 other things to do right now, I could go from your phone number and your name and where you live and find out all kinds of things about you without you knowing, and then sit here and pretend that I'm getting messages from beyond. And if you don't know what I'm capable of researching, and you don't know what I'm capable of detecting from an interaction with a person in a cold reading sense where I don't have any information, but, for example, it's like when I think about you, Cora, I keep getting like the number 4. Are you from a family of 4?
Me?
Yeah, are you from a family of 4? Like how many siblings do you have?
I have 3 siblings. Well, I have.
So you have 3 siblings. So there's
I don't really have,
four
like-
siblings in your family, right? So you are one child of 4. Now,
Yes.
if I told you that your grandmother, your great-grandmother, it's either your grandmother or your great-grandmother is coming through to me right now. Has your grandmother or great-grandmother, have they passed? Are they deceased now?
I mean, yeah, they're because.
And that's completely unimpressive because that's going to be true for most people's great-grandparents in many cases. And so if I played that up and said, they're talking about the 4 of you, like, did you have a grandmother that would sit there and like try to play with all 4 of you at the same time rather than picking out a favorite type thing? That was it.
Yeah,
So
I understand because that.
I am literally making all of this shit up off the top of my head, Cora, and that is what is happening in a number of other things. There are things like Barnum statements that generally apply to everybody. But if I was a douche and wanted to make money and convince people that I could give them information about their lives, putting those facts together instead of it being on the Atheist Experience show, if we were in a different setting, if we were, at a carnival tent and I had decorations around and a crystal ball and started telling you this stuff, you are the type of person who would be tempted to believe, if not actively immediately believe, that I have some powers that I don't have.
All right.
And the recognition that can happen and does happen needs to be in the forefront of your mind so that when somebody gives you something that seems impossible, instead of running with it, you ask questions even more strongly, because those are extraordinary claims and they need extraordinary evidence, not just mundane evidence.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for explaining this all to me, because I think I think I really was kind of like vulnerable to like believing that out of like one, the fear, and also the
we all
what
are.
you said. Yeah.
We all are, and this is a constant process.
And Cora, have you sought any help or therapy or anything about the rape that you mentioned? Really encourage you to do that as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I've talked to my family about it, but my parents aren't exactly the most.
All the more reason maybe to seek maybe some professional help. For
I would start with a therapist, especially since your avenues of recourse through the law may be blocked.
Yeah.
But finding a counselor to talk to about this stuff. Also finding groups.
And maybe not a religious counselor or a crystal counselor.
You can look up the Secular Therapist Project, and you can find a science-based counselor that's not going to fill you full of pseudoscience or religious gobbledygook, and are actually going to use science to discuss what your issues are and how you can move forward with them. You may not be in a terrible place and suffering from this or dwelling on it, but it's still worth it to talk to somebody.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, because I've sought out like 3 different psychics in the past like 6 months.
Yeah, not a psychic.
Not, like,
don't go to psychics.
Definitely not a psychic.
Go to psychologists.
Yeah, definitely not a psychic.
And psychiatrists.
Yeah.
They won't. They seriously will not help you. They will take your money.
Yeah, and there are among those psychics that you're going to find, they run, in many cases, countless scams. And one of the most common ones, or one of the most known ones, I suppose, is telling you that the things that are going wrong in your life are because of a curse. And in many cases, they'll get you to bring in some money, which they're not going to keep that money. We are going to, this is money that we need to destroy and get rid of, along with maybe a family heirloom. Like if you've got your grandmother's engagement ring and stuff, you can bring that. We'll wrap the money and stuff up in a cloth. We will then light some candles and sage and burn it around it, and we will try to remove the demonic energies, and then we will take that money, you and I together, and we will burn it and bury the remains of it. And what you don't know is that the thing that you burn is not the big wad of cash that you gave them, because that's going directly into their cocaine habit or whatever it is that they're doing.
Yeah, secular, professional, licensed counselor.
I'd look up the Secular Therapist Project and see if you can find somebody to talk to about that. And also I'd see if you can find a local skeptics group, a free thought group, where you can talk with other people who aren't going to make you feel stupid. Anybody who tries to pretend like, oh, well, you're just stupid or you're just gullible. Based on things you described here, gullible may be an attribute that fits what you've done, but it doesn't fit who you are any more than anybody else on the planet. The second you think you can't be fooled, it's too late. And if there's no better lesson to teach with magic about ethics and what some con artists and scam artists are doing, it's this recognition that everybody can be fooled. I don't know if we lost.
All right, yeah. Well, thank you, Matt, so much for taking my call.
Sure, thanks. Tell your 3 other siblings I said hello. On that note, we have like